Hey everybody, time for another community answering questions kind of video. Remember, if you like the videos, like, sub, silly comment, share, support the channel if you can. I appreciate it. Thanks. Super chat the video, whatever. If you want to, it helps the channel. Thanks. So answering a question and a comment that I get many times throughout the years, something along this lines, and you could read the comments here and my response, and just because not everybody reads the comments, but a lot of times when I comment or reply to something, I try to show that I actually care, but not but everybody reads the comments, so we'll make a video about it. And it's actually relevant to today too, or my life in general, just because I've been sick in and out of bed, since last night. I've been fucked up, right? But there's this idea or thought or comment I get that, Clayton, I wish you would come back and win tournaments again, or beat this insert person's name that I hate, right? And I've constantly said this, but I'll make a video about it before. When I talk about new games and when I talk about people and all that kind of stuff, and even if I made that Umi show video recently, right? I'm not talking shit about the person's skill level per se, right? Like a person like Leffen, to my knowledge, Leffen is a competent player. To my knowledge, he has done very well for himself. Just like Umi Show, I was not commenting on Umi Show's skill level. To my knowledge, Umi Show is a skilled player, correct? Right. The Umi Show thing, just that they use the LGBT thing as an excuse, right? And I do think that from a certain perspective that your skill is the most important thing. You as a person, generally speaking, shouldn't matter when the most important thing, because it's a competitive endeavor, a fighting game, the most important thing is your skill level. It's just that certain individuals, they cross the line of actually being malicious and trying to hurt other people. And when you actually cross that line of, maybe being a standoffish person, or maybe not the most popular person, but you actually cross the line of being a person that is maliciously evil and out to hurt other people, that is where I draw the line, and I think you should not be a part of the community, right? But anyway, right? In terms of skill, I've said this many times before, right? Just because some person might be a bad person, or it's a new game that, say, I don't play or I don't have an interest in playing, right? That doesn't mean that the game doesn't take skill. That doesn't mean that Umi Show isn't skillful at their endeavor, right? That doesn't mean that Leffen isn't skillful at his endeavor, right? So when people say, Clayton, please come back and, beat people in Strive, or when it was Dragon Ball Fighters was going on, I said this many times before, I don't play those games. I would assume that I would get destroyed if I play. So wanting me to come back, it's a fool's errand, because these aren't games that I ever played, right? They're just, so how would I beat them? I would assume that they would destroy me. Now, when you get into other games, of course, that yes, I have done very well for myself in video games when I have randomly played competitively, despite my circumstances, broken controllers, bad converters. I said before, when I made those recent Marvel videos, I'm at the point now where even just trying to do a little bit of a combo video for a few minutes, my hands are gone. I mean, you got to remember, it was 2006 was the last tournament that I actually was like traveling to. I still won some local tournaments after that, but 2008 I was dying, just straight up dying. And, but 2006 is when I eventually stopped traveling for all these tournaments all around that I was winning, right? But even then I told that story that 2006, that's almost 20 years ago. That's a long time, dude, right? I've been sick longer than most people, who knows, have perhaps even been watching my channel, right? I said that last 2006 tournament I remember I went to, and even APOC came up to me. He's like, "You're playing on controller now?" And I was like, "Dude, I can barely use my hands at this point," right? That's why 20 years later, I have to work out the way I do. I don't have a lot of physical dexterity anymore, right? My body is not doing good, dude, right? Now, despite these circumstances, I've still done more tech than anyone else in the history of fighting games. And I've done stuff that people said were humanly impossible, stuff that people try to use tasks to even recreate, right? And obviously, even after stopping playing games. I've gone years without playing a game, and I've still showed that I've been able to win, right? I mean, look at Guilty Gear stuff. It's funny if you think about Guilty Gear. What was it? It was years ago now. It's crazy when you think that people try to think that I secretly am playing or practicing all these games and doing all this stuff, which isn't even physically possible, right? So it's pretty funny, right? And you have people that try to make excuses. And this is why I want to get this into, you should be the hero. Dad, U4M, I think you can be the hero. You need to be the hero that slays the dragon of the person that you don't like, right? Because I think nowadays you have no excuse. If you are physically competent, right, and you have the internet, what is your excuse for? Not that I say I do appreciate the positive vibes that you think I would beat the people that you hate, but like, there's no excuse for you to be, there's almost no excuse for you to be bad at a game unless you actually have a physical ailment or something else is going on, because there are so many ways to be good at games now, right? Using the plus R example, like, again, people got mad when I showed that I beat them, even though they said they don't play the game, but they had 12,000 matches. 12,000 matches, that's more video games that I've played, every video game combined, in probably over 10 years. It's ridiculous to even think. I can't even think that 15 years, 20 years, who knows, right? You have people that, it's like, just think about, like, people think I'm joking, but it's not a joke. Do you realize it's been years since I've played Guilty Gear against somebody? People talk about, oh, I play 12,000 matches, I don't play that often, or, oh, I only play so many hours a day, blah, blah, blah. Dude, it has been years since I have played anybody in Guilty Gear, even plus R. That is crazy, But a game like plus R, oh my God, I can only imagine. That's why I say that you need to be the hero, right? I can only imagine how good I would be at some of these games. I can only imagine how good I would be at fighting games in general, right? If I was actually someone that was able to practice like all these other people have throughout the years, right? Again, when I left school and I had to get a full-time job, I had to help support myself before I could even drive, right? Not like kids nowadays that, oh, I can just play on the internet all day versus anybody. Just turn on Fight Kid, I can play versus anybody. A game like Plus R, oh my God, there's the re-record, I don't remember, is it replay function? Record, replay, whatever the function, fucking, whatever the thing is called. The thing you can do, the training mode thing where you can replay a match, right? Oh my God, can you imagine? I can only imagine if I had something like that when I was younger, or if I was actually invested in games. Like I said, there's almost no reason for you to not be the very best you can be at a game now, right? When you have access to those kind of things, right? Now, again, that's why I say I can only imagine how good I would be at a game like Plus R. Oh my God, would I ever lose a single match? I mean, fuck, I hadn't played the game in years. And how many people was I beating? Remember the Atlanta, Georgia guy? I mean, he's a very well-respected player. And when I played him, I was like, man, he's really good, right? And when I talked to him, he told me that, oh yeah, I beat a lot of your haters, which I'm glad. I haven't talked to him in a while, but hopefully he's still beating my haters. But even he was like, he's like, you're the best I've ever played. And do you remember that he said that? And even when he posted that in the Discord, do you remember that people, they just tried to ignore it? God forbid you say Clayton is the best. Even though so many of these people that hate me and these supposed top players, I did beat them. No practice, broken controller. I can only imagine these people that, they're known players and they talk about they don't play. I literally just told you I've gone years without playing before. Do you know anybody else? Like I said, I don't think there's never going to be someone else that is going to do what I've done in fighting games, right? Again, I say that I feel lucky that I've been able to win when I have played, or even look at Fightcade when that fucking, what was that? Karna's Revenge, beat people 4 months straight. You know what I mean? No practice, right? Remember, you can go back, look at old forums of Super Turbo. Guess who's one of the best Ryus in the world? Oh, it's my fake account. You think I'm secretly practicing Super Turbo versus everybody? I thought you just said you think you think I'm secretly practicing Karna's Revenge. Oh, you think I'm practicing Guilty? It's just ridiculous, dude. So I appreciate, the good vibe in terms of if you are recognizing the skill that, yes, I have absolutely destroyed people despite my circumstances, but, ultimately those are games that I have at least a little bit of some muscle memory in, right? And when you want to imagine that I could beat people, in games I don't even play, I mean, I'm not at that skill level. I don't think I could actually, I could not put in a game that I don't play and beat the player that you hate that is a supposed top player or is a top player. I mean, I'm just, but you can do that, I think. Or maybe you can't, I don't know. But I don't think you have an excuse if you can't, unless you actually have a physical ailment or something that's stopping you, because there's so many different tools to get good at games now. Like I said, I can only imagine, I can only fathom how good I would be at video games now if I actually could practice. And oh my God, would anyone beat me in anything? I don't know, right? Because the tools are just, it's so easy mode now, right? And that's why I would say, like, I can't believe anybody loses to me. It just shows you that maybe the skill level of these people that actually do hype themselves up. And there's going to be somebody, oh, Clayton, you're hyping yourself up. I just said people could beat me. I just said I feel lucky that I've won, right? And even tournaments too. You think tournaments, you got to play for a while. I mean, if you go back and look at Fightcade when I played randomly, guess what? Most of the matches, I'm only playing like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. I don't have a lot of strength in my hands, dude. Again, I saw some dudes talking shit how they barely play. Dude, I looked at his Fightcade record. He's just randomly playing 3 hours a day here, 3 hours a day here. He's like, yeah, I don't really play very much. I looked at your Fightcade. You look like you're playing 3-hour sets versus people just here, there. I don't know. That's not playing. I guess maybe some people, they talk about they play 8 hours a day, but goddamn, you're playing just random 3-hour sets versus people and you don't play? Motherfucker, I just said I've gone years without playing a game. And even after I said this, can you imagine, who knows the next time I'm ever going to play Guilty Gear? I don't know, or a game. And can you imagine, I've said this so many times before, if someone actually ever does end up beating me, and it's a hater of mine, you can be sure this person would be like, oh my God, I slayed the evil dragon Clayton. He's so evil. I don't play the game either, but I know he secretly must play, even though he hasn't played in years, but again, I guess overall, it's a nice thought to think that I would win all these tournaments, but I don't think I would. You know what I mean? It just is, my time is past, right? I don't play games. I barely play games at all, dude. Like I said, even doing that Marvel thing recently for a few minutes, my hands are fucked, dude. I mean, even if I had a good controller, I just can't. Mashing even though you don't have to mash hards for, say, like the super fireball or the super hurricane kick, say when you're doing a combo, I cannot mash buttons that fast, dude. And I'm not somebody that cheats. I've showed me doing Guilty Gear. I'm not someone that macroed everything to make things easier, right? I'm just raw dogging it. Real skill. Again, raw skill. I'm not afraid of anybody, in terms of that. But do I think I would win all these tournaments? No. I feel lucky that I've been able to win, but I don't think I would if I played Leffen in a game he's good at. I'm sure Leffen would destroy me, just like I'm sure Umisho would destroy me. But the thing is, I've never claimed that I would beat these people. It's not like the fighting game community where so many people lie about me. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Clayton didn't do all this. I'm not insecure like that. I said before, Dagda, you could probably beat me in games, right? There's no ego there. But of course, it is a fact that, yes, I've beat and done very well for myself competitively, despite not actually being a competitive player, right? Despite actually having circumstances that other people don't have to deal with, right? And I think, generally speaking, again, I think you should be the one to slay the dragon that you want to, because at this point, I don't think many people have excuses to be bad at video games, considering how, God, that replay feature of, Guilty Gear is amazing. I can only imagine, Is that in other games? I don't know how many other games that is in. Have they put that in other games? God damn. I mean, that just is fuck, that's like a life cheat code or something to make yourself good at games. You should never not be ready for something if you could actually put in the time to study and practice a little bit, you know. But again, as usual, even if someone is a bad person, though, even if I was talking about that Umi show thing recently, I do think that Umi show being a bad person or Leffen being a bad person doesn't mean they shouldn't be able to enter tournaments just if they have that stigma. But where I draw the line is you think about Umi show as a person that has showed that they are a malicious person and they are fine with hurting another person. When you can say that about somebody, that means they should not be allowed in the community. I think you can be a quotation marks bad person or an unpopular person, and that should not, make it so you can't enter a tournament. But there are so many people in the community that are maliciously bad people. Like, why is Marn allowed to enter tournaments? Marn got caught rigging tournaments. That crosses the line, I think, of being someone that should be allowed in a tournament. Just like people that, look at all the people that have lied about me. I think the people joking about me dying and all this kind of stuff, that kind of crosses a line. Like, this isn't just a video game anymore. You've taken this a little bit far. You have people like that Vicky person, whatever, talking about killing people at events. Why are they allowed at events? You can be sure if I ever entered a tournament again, if I somehow could, so this is some alternate reality. You know what the first thing I would do? I would go to the hotel that the event is at, and I would show the messages of Vicky talking about killing people. And I would be like, hey, Mike Bozak, Elvin Shadow, he says it's okay for them to enter a tournament because they use the LGBTQ offense or defense. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think the hotel, or what if I call the police and I say, hey, this person is at this tournament and they just sent me messages saying they're going to kill me. And the tournament organizer is not going to do anything about it because they're LGBTQ. You should do that. I mean, I'm serious. Why don't you do that? You can be sure I would fucking do that. You know what I mean? That's crossing. That's more than just a video game now. You're actually like you've crossed the line. How good you are at a video game anymore doesn't matter. And so often people in the LGBTQ, unfortunately, guess what? They do cross that line. They maliciously hurt other people. That crosses the line between just being an asshole or an unpopular person and being an evil person, and they should not be in the community. Anyway, if you like the videos, like, sub, silly comment, share, support the channel if you want. I appreciate it. Thanks. The end.